So, Alex, welcome to our call. It's really, really good to have you on. So, just for those that are going to be watching this video, we're both utility warehouse partners. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
And I'll get my fan off, bit of noise in the background. So, I run the Sack the Boss team. The Sack the Boss team is all about helping people make extra money in their spare time. And I'm really, really privileged to have you on because, unfortunately, you're not actually part of our team. You're part of a bigger team down in England. Is that right?
It is, yeah. I'd love to have you on my team as well. So the feeling's mutual.
Oh, good. So, Alex, for the people that are watching this, because a lot of people who watch this will be current partners who've maybe just joined Utility Warehouse somewhere in the UK, or maybe people who are looking for extra money in this kind of horrible economic crisis we find ourselves in, and they'll come across this content. So some folk who watch it might not be with us yet, but they're maybe looking for an option. So it'd be great to hear your story. So you're from Kent. How long ago did you join Utility Warehouse?
So I know exactly how long it is because it's the same age as my son, because I joined just as he was born. So he is 7 now, so it's just coming up to 7 years. So he was about 6 months old when I joined, and so 6.5 years.
Wow. And that's, gee whiz, so you've been doing this almost half the time of me. That shows just how much harder you've worked at the business than I have. It's taken me twice the time to get to where you are.
I've got some good people in the team, so I guess you met your own luck, but lucky as well.
No, that's good. That's good. Right. Okay. So for those who don't know you, what's your background?
So as I say, I joined when my son was born, and that's because prior to that, I ran my own business, a hair and makeup company, in my spare time, I didn't have a lot of spare time because I also had a day job, which was head of client services for a marketing and advertising agency. So I was very, very busy. I'd been with my partner then for probably about, I don't know. See, I'm much better at knowing how long I've been in the business or how old my son is. I think probably we'd been together about 4 or 5 years, and we decided that we were ready we just bought a house. We'd had a year or so in the house enjoying it and sort of, a few parties and things like that. We decided we wanted to have children. Obviously didn't know how long that was going to take. My plan, having children, I'm a real planner. So especially like social occasions, life, how it all works out, I like to have plans in place. But my son taught me that when it comes to children, you really can't have a plan, because he arrived, when we decided that we wanted to have children, he happened fairly quickly, but even quicker than we expected, because he was 8.5 weeks premature when he was born. And that threw my world into turmoil, because all these plans that I'd made, he was going to be born. I was going to go back to work maybe 3 months after he'd arrived. I had childcare and all that sort of stuff sorted out. I'd spoken to the boss that I had. I was going to go to 4 days a week, only leaving me 1 day at home with my son, because I was still running my business on my weekends and my spare time. And as I was sat next to his incubator when he was, he shouldn't have even still been here, 2, 3, 4 weeks old. He still shouldn't have even been here. There were so many things that he couldn't do. He couldn't feed on his own. At one point, he couldn't breathe on his own. All of these things that he was being helped to do. And I was sitting there thinking about going back to work 4 days a week. It just didn't work for me. And I appreciate, there's some amazing parents out there who are managing to do full-time jobs and have children and dedicate time to them. But I just realized in that moment that I was not one of those people. I was not going to be able to do both well. And so I had to give up one. Obviously, I wasn't about to give up my son, so the job had to go. So that in that first year, I remember coming home and saying to James that, he's got pediatric appointments coming out of his ears, he's got operations, he's got so many things that I need to be there for. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to, give him that care and give him, make the right decisions on his behalf. I can't let grandparents do that, or friends, or whatever. I've got to be the one that's going to be there. So I would like to take a year off rather than the 3 months that we planned, obviously getting my maternity pay. I'd like to extend that to a year. And I remember him saying, that would be amazing. How are we going to pay for it? And that was the point at which I realized I needed to do something from home. And this was back, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, whenever it was. I hadn't really heard about things like this. So it wasn't like I was looking for something like this, because I didn't really understand what it was or that it was available. I genuinely thought that someone might pay me to stuff some envelopes from my living room. So I was online looking for, work from home jobs, didn't even really know what that meant. And then totally randomly, I was at a wedding. It was actually one of the weddings that I'd done through my hair and makeup business. Started chatting to somebody. I thought I was just having a random conversation with a, semi-stranger. And she was just basically sort of saying to me, drawing this story out from me, and then responding in a way that kind of said, look, you might want to have a look at what I do, because it's completely flexible. It pays better than my full-time job. I've earned a free holiday every year since I've been doing it. I was like, hold on a minute, you had me on holiday. So she just said, look, it may or may not be for you, but give me 20 minutes of your time. Let me show you a bit about the company that I work with, show you how it can work for you. And then, see how that kind of pans out. And like I said, I was looking for it, but then, sorry?
Who was that?
That was Hannah Grover.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah, so she brought me in, and actually the wedding was her cousin's wedding. So I ended up actually in her cousin's husband's team. So because that's how we met. So, but obviously within Hannah's sort of wider team as well. Yeah. So it was great, because what was really clever about when she talked to me about this business was that she identified the type of person that I was in that one single conversation. And she worked out that I needed to hear about this business in a certain way. Now, if she'd said to me, and this is just like my personality, if she'd said to me, you should have a look at what I do because I get to help people every day, and for some people that would just make you go, oh, amazing. But for me and my personality, I'd just be like, well, I mean, I'm, charity begins at home. That's my kind of mantra. I'm not somebody that would get excited about going out and helping people on a daily basis. But when she said to me, I've had a free holiday every year since I've been doing this, that's me all over. I want free stuff. I want money. I want status. I'm highly competitive. But she picked up all of those things from that single conversation and delivered the opportunity back to me in a way that was going to make me think, whatever it is, I want some of it.
What I'm going to do, just see when you're mentioning that, just for those that are watching, if you're not with us already, here's an example of some of the holidays that you get being a partner with our company.
Wow, I'm excited already.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Actually, I just filled in my email yesterday for Portugal next year. So
wow, that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait. So listen, for folk who for listening in, they're probably sitting thinking, so what do we actually do? What are we doing from home to make some money? So I've got a 1-minute video. Ben Fogle is our brand ambassador. And what I'll quickly do is I'll play Ben Fogle. This is essentially our job, Alex, is to play this video to other people and let them decide if they want to save money on their household bills. Is that essentially it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and he does it much more succinctly than either of us would.
So here we go.
I've discovered UW, a home services provider who does things a little differently. They make switching easy. And the more services you take, the more you save. Hey, Charlie. From Great Value Broadband. Energy for your home. Mobile SIMs with unlimited data. And insurance for the things that matter most. And every time you use your UW Cashback card, the savings you make come straight off your bill. That's all your home services in one simple bill, saving you money and time, freeing you up for the more important things in life.
So when we show somebody that video, all we've done is we've reached out to somebody and asked them if they're open-minded to saving some money on their household bills.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do that job right, what's the maximum we can earn?
So from a single customer coming over and just saving money with us, that would be up to £400 up front. But then, of course, it doesn't stop there, because we also then build up a future income, which is a percentage of that bill paid to us every month for as long as they remain a customer. So, that £400 really is just the tip of the iceberg. When you actually add all of those customers up together, it can make a really significant future income.
and you're saying that from experience. You've managed to build your business to a level where there's a lot of accounts that you're getting a really small percentage of every month, and that's essentially giving you that more comfortable lifestyle where you're not always beholden to an employer anymore. Would that be right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, just going back to my original story, my plan was to stay off for a year, and I was really just hoping to earn, I don't know, £500-600 a month, really, just to keep myself justified in not going back to work for that period of time. But when I looked back at the end of that year, I realized that I had earned, really a significant, at that point, probably I would say it was a significant part-time income at a time when I'd basically decided to leave work altogether and have a year off. So once I got to the end of that year, I thought, well, hold on a minute. I've started to see how those little bits that you were talking about, have compounded into a much larger amount. And actually, if I gave myself another year, where could I take that in that year? And that's when the momentum starts to build, and that's when it gets a bit crazy, because ultimately now, you be at the same position now, but now I'm not actually in control of my income, and that's a bit of a crazy thought. It's how much I make each month is now out of my own control because other people are contributing to it. Yeah. And, and that's another concept which I love, which is time leverage. I'm doing this, let's say 9-ish till 2-ish every day. I mean, I say ish because I try and go for a run at 9 every morning, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but that's my own issues. Yeah. So maybe I don't start till 10, maybe I don't start till 10:30, maybe I have a coffee with a friend after drop off. So, it's not like I'm here at my desk every day between 9 and 2, but even that is only part-time hours.
Yeah.
And to realize that just putting that little bit of consistent effort in on a daily basis, actually at the end of that 1 year was great. But if I did it for another year, where could I take it to? How would it compound? And then, of course, by the end of the second year, I was just thinking, well, actually, do you know what? I don't need to do anything else now. I can just completely solely, focus on this. And that's not what it's always about. It's not necessarily about people leaving their jobs. A lot of people, well, I say a lot of people, a few people that I meet actually really enjoy their job and don't ever want to leave their job, don't ever want to leave their career. But that job in itself doesn't necessarily pay enough to have the kind of things that, most of us dream about. And I'm not talking about yachts and Ferraris. I'm sure that would be lovely, but that's actually not what's life-changing for people. What's really life-changing for people is not worrying about the cost of living crisis. I don't know what the stats are, but let's say every household is £300-400 a month worse off because of this cost of living crisis. Well, somebody joining our team very, very simply can beat that, straight away can beat that. And once they start to get a taste for it and they see the money coming in, that's when people start to make choices about the other work that they're doing. Do I drop a day? Do I not do any overtime anymore? Do I go part-time? Do I take a part-time job down to nothing at all? Ultimately, we all just want to enjoy our time, don't we? And whether that's doing something we love because we're being paid to do it, or having the flexibility and the freedom, the time freedom to go and do something else that we've dreamed about doing, a hobby or something that we've never really been able to finance. I mean, my son now, having been premature, is now completely golf mad. That's really costly. Lessons, golf clubs, golf trolleys. Apparently it's got to be motorized. All these things that I've now got to start shelling out for, and it takes, I'm really lucky in our household because we have one really solid, dependable salary from my partner, although, we're looking at ways that we can reduce that now that this business is really taking off. But, so I've had that situation where we knew the bills were being paid. So I was at a very early stage in the business, able to cut down everything else that I did because we had that stable salary. So obviously I appreciate not everybody's in that position. So it might take other people longer perhaps to drop down those hours and drop down what they might consider to be a solid income, because this now has become an even more solid income than a salary, because a salary is only solid whilst you're still in the job and whilst you're still working, and somebody else ultimately has control over that, whether the company survives, whether you made redundant or, I don't know, worse off, sacked or whatever, somebody else has control over that. What's amazing about this is, and it's really interesting because often when we talk to people, the first thing that they say is, but I want a guaranteed income. Well, you can't get more guaranteed than this. It might
everyone pays this stuff. They're paying it anyway.
Exactly.
we may as well to build an income off it. It's just
not only are people not going to stop paying for their gas and electric, they're having to pay more, and that's not down to us. That's just down to the current situation. The cost of living crisis is here. There's nothing we can do about that. But actually, every time somebody turns on a light bulb, makes a cup of tea, makes a phone call, uses their broadband, myself, you, all the people in our team are getting a small percentage back of that. And actually, when you look at that concept as well, that's just like shopping local. I would pay more to go and buy from my local butcher than I would go into a supermarket because I want to support a local business, right? We're not even asking people to pay more. We're actually asking people to pay less and support a local business. Any one of my customers, any one of my partners that joins me is actually helping me be a mum and stay at home. So actually, there's an awful lot of people love that. People really love that about what we do as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that was the question you asked me.
No, listen, that's great. What's coming back to me is, and it keeps bouncing about in my head, and it sounds, you're working smart rather than working hard. And what most people are doing is they're doing what they've always done and what they were told to do at school, and they're chasing that hourly rate.
Yeah.
But chasing that hourly rate, as good as it might have been in the past, is the path of working hard, because you need to do more hours to get more money. Whereas everything I'm getting from you, and I can see the passion when you're talking about it, and it's obviously it's the security that having that royalty income from all these accounts is giving you, is you're working, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth. It sounds to me like you're working part-time hours, but gathering a full-time income and consistently getting pay increases every month.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I have probably had a pay increase every month for the 6 years that I've been doing this, 6.5 years I've been doing this.
Yeah.
It's that idea of just being out of control. And it's
now that will not compute with a lot of people who watch this video.
No.
Okay. Because, the idea of having an asset that pays you every month forever, a lot of people aren't familiar with that. Property developers are familiar with that. That's why they have a property portfolio, and the rental income they're getting from all the flats that they've got gives them that royalty income. So what would you say to somebody that's watching this video, needs to bring in some more income, likes the sound of what we do, but says, do you know what, that all sounds too good to be true?
Oh my goodness, if I had £1 for every time I heard this sounds too good to be true, then I'd probably be earning just as much as I am through this business myself. Obviously, I understand that. And, when I had that first conversation with Hannah, when she talked to me about it, whilst, my personality is such that I would just, if it sounds great, I'm just going to go for it anyway. What the hell? What's the worst that can happen? That's how I always feel about these things anyway. But I did feel like when she actually sat down for 20 minutes and showed me, I was like, but how can a company be this competitive? How can a company be this good? How can a company keep paying out like this? Surely this is too good to be true. But like I said to myself then, is what I'd say to somebody else. What have you actually got to lose finding out? Because it could be that it doesn't work, but you've not lost anything finding out, right? But what if it does?
Yeah.
What if it does? And what if you find out later that actually a friend of yours or a contact of yours actually thought, well, I might as well give it a shot. And 3 years down the line, 4 years down the line, they're earning however much it is residually monthly. They've been on a few holidays. They've got a free car sitting out on the driveway. What if you found that out and you realized that actually you were shown this business and this opportunity at the same time as them? What a massive regret that would be. But are you ever going to regret just giving something a shot? Because at the end of the day, the only investment that this opportunity takes is a little bit of your time. Yeah. And it's so much less time than if you went and got a second job. I mean, somebody that I brought into my team this week, she'd been offered a second job the morning that she came to see me about this opportunity. And she thought that it was a case of deciding between the two. And I obviously explained to her that there's nothing to stop you taking the second job and still doing this, because the time actually, it doesn't really take that much time to get started in this opportunity. But when we actually looked at it, what she'd been offered per week would take her 35 hours to earn the same amount that it would take us just to help one family.
It's crazy, isn't it? And
it was, it was a no-brainer for her to put in 1, maybe 2 hours over the next week to earn that. I know we said it was up to 400, but we were looking at 350 being that, that amount that we were looking at, 35 hours in this second job she'd have to do in order to achieve that same amount.
So you mentioned bringing in team members there. So for you now, I guess like myself, my focus is in now helping people make money.
Absolutely.
Yes, we help people save money on their household bills, and I feel nice when I've saved somebody £500-600 a year on their energy. But I'd much rather show them how to make $2-3 grand a month
100%.
on the side of what they currently earn. So for you, it's the team. I've got a question down here. How many other people would you say you have helped to be able to start their own side business with our company?
Well, when you say how many people have I helped, this is kind of how it works. So there are 500 people in what you would consider to be my team. We think of it as kind of our team, but in my team, all of whom have the opportunity to go out, bring in customers, and that all adds to my little pot of passive income that we were talking about before. How many have I personally brought in myself? I actually don't know the answer to that, because we don't have any way of actually tracking it. I would hazard a guess and say maybe a couple of hundred of them have been specifically down to me. But what's really interesting is if that is correct, there's 300 people in my team who I didn't know, never met prior to them being in my business. And they were brought in by people who I'd trained. So I trained the people that I brought in, and I trained them how to train the people that they bring in. And probably a large proportion of those 300 people have probably been brought in, not by that person, not by the next person, not by the next person, but maybe even the next person. So there's basically no way I would ever have been in contact with those people. I would never have been able to offer them this opportunity. But it's happened because we have those connections, sort of in a line. And that's what's really interesting, because of the way our team works, and we're very close-knit, and we have very simple processes, very easy to follow systems, which is something that I love, and I know you're a fan of that as well. Yeah. It means that those people who are, even maybe they've been introduced by four people in between us, for example, they're still being trained in exactly the same way as I trained that first person. So it's really just a case of, introducing this opportunity to somebody, showing them how to be successful, then teaching them how to bring other people in and teaching them how to teach them to be successful. And you just follow the same process over and over again. And you know what? The only reason that it's not boring is because every time that is a completely different person. Different things motivate them. They want different things from this business. They're going to achieve differently. And that's what's making it so exciting, because when you ask somebody to trust you and then they come back to you 6 weeks later and say, oh my God, have you seen my paycheck? It actually works. And you're like, yep, yeah. I know, because I've seen it. But they haven't seen it before. They are pretty much just trusting you. Yeah. And, the ones that do trust us, and the ones that, it's not only trusting, it's trusting us and giving the opportunity a go. But then for me, it's all about following that system. Yeah. Because, and it's interesting as well, because often, I speak to people and they say, oh, this sounds amazing, but I'm not a salesperson. And I'm like, well, to be fair, with the exception of you, Del, I would say salespeople aren't necessarily set up to do well in this business in the same way that other people who aren't salespeople are. Now, obviously, you're showing that it is actually for everybody and that good salespeople can actually make this work. But it's much harder with people like that, because they're conditioned in a certain way, and you can obviously tell me if I'm wrong here, but conditioned in a certain way, to get the sale and to close and to get people over the line and this, that, and the other. And we're not like that. You said in the very beginning, all we do is show people a video.
Because we're just we show them the information and take the volunteers.
Yeah.
We've already got the best pricing, and we've got the opportunity to help people make money working from home after the pandemic. That's what a lot of people now want. So we've kind of got the best of both worlds. So listen, just in closing off, because I don't want to run too much past 25 minutes.
No one needs half an hour of Alex.
No, well, listen, it's been some really good stuff. I know a lot of the partners that watch this, whether it be live or on repeat, are going to learn an awful lot, because at the end of the day, you've managed to hit one of the high positions in our company, and half the time it took me, and they think I'm half decent at this. So this would be great content for them to see your feedback on it. How do you think what does the future look like for you?
Wow. We've got serious plans in our household now as a result of this. I mean, we've actually renovated our house during lockdown. So having the ability to have that extra money to put into projects like that, you know, is something that I never actually expected to be able to do. I thought that if ever I did that, it would all be loaned, it would all be, you know, mortgaged up to the hilt, etc. So we've started to see what that can bring. But for us, this is now about, we are in literally operation, reduce outgoings and increase incomings. You know, I thought when I set out as an adult in that crazy world of being an adult, that really the only way I would ever make serious money and be able to achieve my goals was to earn enough so that I could invest it in things like property. Now, I'm not saying that's not a good idea. For some people it is. And I've started, you know, have started going down that route. You know, I've got a flat, etc. That I rent out, but I've realized that actually I don't need to spend masses of money out to invest in something to bring me a return.
Yeah.
I can just keep doing this because this income is going to end up being so colossal that my other half doesn't have to have a full-time job, that I never have to go back to work, and that we can live a comfortable lifestyle with some of the dreams and some of the things that we really want to achieve. And we don't have to be in a job to do that. And we don't have to invest heavily and mortgage ourselves crazily to be able to bring that kind of return. I think that's really interesting because I think most people think that to have that kind of a lifestyle, you've got to have the capital to put into something to get something back. And I think this is possibly one of the only legitimate ways that you can get that kind of a return without ever having to actually invest any kind of serious money into it. Just time. I mean, that's our greatest asset, isn't it? All of us, our greatest asset is our time. We're never going to get it back. You know, if you lose all your money, you can go and earn it back again. Yeah. But time is something that once that hour's gone, it's never coming back. And so we've realized in this house and in this family that time is the most precious thing that we have. And that's what I feel like I'm buying back by bringing in that residual income that comes in whether I work or not, that's eventually going to release my husband, my partner, from you know, being able to work as well. We're going to have a lovely life. And it's because I said, go on then, what have I got to lose? Let's give it a shot.
Well done, Hannah.
Absolutely. But, you know, that's what I said. You know, she knew what to say and how to say it. And I think that's a really, really important part of what we do is speaking to people in the language that they're going to hear. Because not everybody wants to hear it the way that we want to tell it.
Yeah. So listen, Alex, brilliant. Really, really enjoyed this. It's been great hearing all about how the journey, and I can see you're super motivated to continue building. So if you're not with us and you're curious about making money, see if you know Alex, reach out to her in social media. I take it you're on all the platforms, yeah?
I mean, I'm not that great with some of the ones that the kids are good with, but certainly Facebook.
Yeah, so if you know Alex and you want more information, please just reach out to her directly. If you don't know Alex and you just want some information, then you can go to the Sack the Boss website. We've got a team website, sacktheboss.co.uk. You can get a bit of information on there. But look, at the end of the day, if you're with us already, then hopefully Alex's message has inspired you, because, you know, there's a lot of opportunity for us to help people right now. And if you're not with us and you need help, you need that additional income, then as Alex says, give it a try. You've naught to lose, but loads to gain. So Alex, look, thank you so much for your time, and let's get cracking.
Fantastic. Let's do this.
All right.